In this adventure, we are heading through lands that have taken their form from past volcanic activity, north from Mount Shasta to Crater Lake in Oregon. We will learn the origin stories of the Klamath Tribes and what created this big, beautiful, and very blue lake at such a high altitude. As usual, Postal Road Trips is me, Jared, and Nina, but this time we picked up my mom, who lives in Reno, and my nephew, who flew out from Ohio for the fun in Oregon. Our trip to Crater Lake National Park begins somewhat fittingly along a portion of the Volcanic Legacy Scenic Byway, a collection of roads between Lassen Volcanic National Park in California and Crater Lake National Park in Oregon. We pick up the byway on US Route 97 as it heads north from Mount Shasta. In the creation stories of the Klamath and Modoc peoples, their creator lives inside Mount Shasta, and now we are headed into the heart of their ancestral lands. Saying goodbye to that stratovolcano, the road drops down to the Butte Valley National Grassland and is a relatively straight shot across the high desert plateau up into Oregon and onto the city of Klamath Falls. While not as dramatic as Mount Shasta or Crater Lake, even this topography is the creation of faults and alluvial flows. Just before the Oregon border, the city of Doris offers a small public park with bathrooms and the third tallest flagpole in the United States. At 61 meters, when it was built in 1996, it was the tallest in the nation, but it has since been passed by a 94-meter flagpole in Laredo, Texas, and the current champion in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, which comes in at a whopping 120 meters. If you are fascinated by the volcanic history of the region, a visit to nearby Lava Beds National Monument is a must. Once Oregon has formally welcomed you, the word Klamath is hard to avoid. Since passing Mount Shasta, this whole region is part of the Rogue River Basin, and we are on our way to the city of Klamath Falls, the source of the Klamath River. You are also bound to see the Klamath Tribes, who are actually a combination of three peoples, the Klamath, Modoc, and Yahuskan Paiutes, who all signed a treaty with the United States government in 1864. This was not ideal, but an attempt to try and receive a shred of dignity, some sort of protection from violent settlers, and maintain a small piece of their homelands which spanned in every direction. Crater Lake, which the Klamath people know as Giiwas, was part of this treaty, but like hundreds of others signed around the country, was of course broken when land and resources became too enticing for the new arrivals. In addition to the broken treaty, the Klamath Tribes had their federal recognition stripped in 1954, and their remaining 1.8 million acres of reservation land was condemned. They fought to get recognition back and were successful in 1986, but this recognition did not come with a return of any of this land. By the way, we did not skip the Klamath River, I promise. Look out for another video in a few weeks that takes a look at this mighty river from its origin here in Oregon down to where it empties in the Pacific Ocean on the California coast after traveling over 420 kilometers. North of Klamath Falls is Chiloquin, which is now the center of life and government for the Klamath Tribes. You can gas up at their service station or stop into the Klamoya Casino to play some slot machines or fill up on a hearty breakfast like we did at the Peak to Peak restaurant inside. The term that gives this restaurant its name was a reference to the lands that were negotiated by tribal leaders for that 1864 treaty. After leaving Chiloquin, the Crater Lake Highway eventually joins back with the Volcanic Legacy Scenic Byway. Just after Fort Klamath, it heads almost straight towards the national park, and there is a wonderful, informative roadside stop. Here you can learn about the violent eruption of Mount Mazama, which imploded to create the crater that the lake now lives on. A rendering of the former mountain puts into perspective just how massive the volcano used to be. After that, we check out Annie Creek, which has created a steep canyon of petrified volcanic ash. Unlike hoodoos, the pinnacles here come from further volcanic activity underground. We picked Sun Notch as our first stop inside the park, because here you are required to work a little. A lot of the trail is still covered in snow, so we just pick a route ourselves. The otherworldly lake views take a short uphill climb to the rim of the crater, and after expending this energy, the reveal seems even sweeter. As of the last day of June, the East Rim Drive is still partially closed due to snow beyond Sun Notch, so we turn around to call into the visitors centers, one of which has a post office, and eventually continue along the West Rim Drive towards the north entrance. It took the US Geological Survey the better part of 100 years to figure out exactly what happened to Mount Mazama and when it took place. But the event has been part of the oral traditions of the Klamath Tribes since it happened. In their recounting, the evil spirit of the below world blew the top off of the mountain because his marriage proposal to the daughter of a Klamath chief was rejected. She refused to leave her people to live in the mountain. The Creator forced the evil spirit of the below world back underground and covered the entrance with all the volcanic debris. Rains followed and eventually created Giiwas, the sacred place that exists today. Klamath people do not travel to Giiwas except in special cases, and never told settlers about its existence. It was always considered a place that should only be visited by chiefs, shamans, and those strong enough to withstand the powers it possessed. After the honor of seeing this amazing place, we leave the park via the north entrance. The pointy stone Mount Thielsen dominates the view, so we track it down and end up at Diamond Lake. Uh-oh, drone bro incoming. Abort! Abort! Diamond Lake has a tiny post office inside the resort lodge, so we check that out and get back on our way south. There is another informative display on the north end of the park describing the eruption of Mount Mazama, so we stop for one last time before taking the Diamond Lake Highway towards Medford. This route affords us the opportunity to check out the surprisingly beautiful Rogue River Gorge, which has a walkway along its most striking sections. By now, we have worked up quite an appetite, so our last stop is the Prospect Cafe and Trophy Room for some excellent burgers and assorted fried goodies.